please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Let's see, today is Monday, April the 29th. The time is 7 p.m. Special meeting of the Greensburg City Council is called to order. At this time, please silence the devices. Okay, at this time, we're having an open public meeting and public hearing on the water rates. And we'll start off with Mr. Riley.
Good evening.
Baker Tilly.
Baker Tilly, yes, that's correct. It's my pleasure being in front of you again, council, clerk, mayor. So I was before you a couple of weeks ago, back on April 1st, and I went thoroughly through our presentation, the PowerPoint presentation that supplements or summarizes the more detailed report. And my associate passed out more updated PowerPoint and report, which is a little bit more skinny down, because now we're just looking at where the bids came in. The bids came in a couple of weeks ago, and this presentation was done on the 16th in front of the water board. That's why it's dated the 16th, because all our work was done at that point. So when our work is done, we date the report. So the PowerPoint presentation, I'll slim this presentation down, just go over a couple of key points on the April 16th PowerPoint presentation. So really, we're looking at pages 7, 8, 9, and 10. So if you remember my comments, which you may not, we've all slept since then, but I talked about a 4-prong stool, and I'm just going to focus on 2 of those prongs. On page 7, which leads into one of the prongs, which is the debt service on the proposed bonds, we're looking at the now estimated project costs and funding. So the bids came in a little over $20.5 million. And then we also have non-construction costs of $4.2 million, which is engineering cost, land acquisition, bond issuance costs, things of that nature, that equal $4.2 million. So we basically have a total project of $24.8 million. From that, we're going to look at the $22.7 million bond issue. That was what was the maximum authorization in the bond ordinance that was executed or passed back on the 1st. So we're within that funding allowance that you authorized. And then to that, there's about $2 million of cash on hand. Most of it has been spent, as you can see down there. $1.7 million has already been spent, with a lot of that coming from the Honda construction monies that were left over from 2007. So those monies have been out there for a long time, or 2007, 2008, with the bulk of it coming from the TIP bonds that the county issued. Then there's 1.1 million that is all in from funds on hand from the utility. And I think there's about $300,000 left to spend. So we're using all the authorization allowed in the bond ordinance, plus funds from various buckets, Honda TIF, improvement depreciation funds from the utility. Are there any questions on that schedule? So moving along, And in the detailed report, you'll see how we're structuring that financing of the $22.7 million. We're still assuming a very conservative interest rate of 3.5%. I've been told today that the state is going to go out and issue their bonds on the 13th of May. Then all those borrowers, there's several communities, I think there's 10, will then pre-close sometime a week after that, and then closing on the loan would be sometime the first week of June. We don't know what the interest rate is going to be, but we're hoping it's somewhat less than that. It should be less than that. So when they price on the 13th, we'll know exactly what that interest rate will be, but it will be consistent through the 22 years of that loan. And you can see that in the detailed report. So here's the revenue requirements, all in, all stools, plus the, or all prongs of the stool, excuse me. And then you can see, we are assuming the TIF, as the TIF has been coming in since 2008, so that's 11 years or so. And the TIF right now is being used, or the city's portion of that TIF is being used for the outstanding water and sewer bonds. As I mentioned before, the first 3 years, 19, 20, and 21, are coming from the county at $500,000 a year. All those dollars stay in the community. They never go anywhere else because it's based on the HANA allocation area. So the county gets their portion, the city gets their portion, and once the city pays those outstanding loans, it can be used for any legal purpose as long as it benefits the area. So all those dollars stay in the community, and all boats rise together. So we're assuming that's built in. And then to those current revenues, so you can see the additional revenues required each year of the 3 years. And again, this is a 3-year phase-in. With the TIF, it's a total of $8. And that's on the next page, so excuse me. Unless there's any questions here, it's pretty much the same. You're funding your debt service reserve, which is required by revenue bonds, because these are revenue bonds. So on page 9, that bottom section, and there would be a mechanism to work with Donna on how that's going to operate. But you can see in that first year, $3.24. Then the second year is $2.86, and and we're assuming right now, based on the ordinance you have in front of you, that will be effective January 1 of 2020. And then phase 3 will be $2.07, and that will go into 2021. And right now, the current average bill for an average residential user is $24.52. Any questions on any of the stuff I'm gonna, okay. So the last page, most folks usually like to see how they compare to other communities. Obviously, there's a lot of green on here and a lot of blue, but if you were just to get to that last year, again, this comparison is a stamp in time or static. You're looking at your rates where they would be with all things coming to fruition in 2021. These other folks have rates that are now, or there's a few that are, yeah, all of those are now. So who's to say if there's leapfrogging effect as they do projects or other state mandates or federal mandates that come about that we can't predict today. More than likely, you're going to have increases in rates in these other places, and I know a few that are already going through that process. So at $32.69, those are still within the range of, I think, most of the communities in the surrounding area. Unless there's any additional questions, I'll leave my comments there.
These comparisons on here, these are just water, right?
This is, good point, thank you. These are water only, so the rates we're looking at are just water only. The rates for sewer are separate and apart from this. So we would have to stack the bars, stack the graphs to see what water and sewer is together. Some places have sewer, some don't. So we've had to kind of have some apples to apples, and sometimes it might be apples to oranges. And water is the same way.
So just for clarification, the increase, the percent increase, is not over your total bill, it's just your.
It's just the
just
water
your water
portion.
portion.
Right. Yeah, so utility bills for most municipalities include water and sewer and then trash service if that's applicable. And we're just looking at dollar increases on water only. Thank you for pointing that out. Appreciate it.
Any other questions, council? Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions from the public this time? Come on up, on that. Please tell us your name, even though I know you.
My name is Mark Roselle. These rates that were quoted, is that monthly increases at $3.24, or is that annual?
It's monthly.
That is monthly.
$3 a month.
So we're looking at roughly $40 annual the first year.
Right.
Okay. I did
Yeah.
not know because I did
Yeah.
not have a thought.
Yeah, it's monthly.
So, okay, and then another thing, is this project going to improve our water quality in any way? Because right now, I've lived here a long time, and aerators on our faucets, you know how they all get plugged, your shower, how they get plugged, I don't know what the chemical, I don't know if it's calcium, excuse me. But, you know, and don't quote me on this date, but I think in 2012, Delta changed from the spring seats to a new ceramic cartridge that has 2 little discs in it, and it does not like the calcium deposits. These things at our local plumbing supply are $52.
Wow.
And spring seats were $3. So I just wanted to see if we're going to have any improvement in the quality.
I would say, yes, it will. How's that?
Thank you for your time.
Oh, no, thank you for the question. Appreciate it. Okay. Anybody else? Come on up, please.
I'm not gonna walk up there, so I'm sure you can hear me, because I have to yell to get my voice out. But how come our water is so dirty with grit, and like the gentleman said, calcium deposits? You gotta change your screens and stuff on your faucets all the time. I don't think our water ought to be like that.
Right.
You get like grit and gravel and all kinds of stuff coming into your blinds.
I'm gonna, Rick.
What you're seeing is hard.
Rick, come on up, please.
What you're getting is hardness in the water. Our water quality, I can assure you, is going to be better after this new plant's built, because we're going to have more compact time, using less chemical, and that's kind of our bottleneck right now. The water hardness is not going to change a whole lot. What would take care of that is a water softener. We do not soften the water. We do not have the capabilities of doing that. That would help you out tremendously. Right now we're putting out anywhere from 12 to 14 grains per gallon, which is probably a little softer than a lot of communities, honestly. But that's something that we just have to deal with. I can't do anything about that portion of it.
There was another thing in the paper, it said that we're supposed to, our average bill, like, you know, that you pay, even if you don't use it, with 27 something. Mine's always been, like right now, it's 40 some dollars.
Okay, is that your
That's
whole?
about $20 difference.
Is that your whole water bill itself?
She's
Yeah.
on rural water.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on the road water.
Okay.
And the more people that get on the line, the less pressure I have. Sometimes you get in the shower and you get in, you've got good pressure. Next thing you know, you're barely getting a dribble out.
We'll check her water pressure, her PRD, okay?
Okay.
So, you know, but my money comes out every month anyway because I have to automatically pay.
Right.
Cause I don't get to go visit once you move it uptown, cause I can't drive Chevy to pay it.
Right. Right. I understand.
Okay, well, we really appreciate your comments. Anybody else? Thanks, Rick. Gene?
Jean Johanigman, and I just have a couple of questions. When is Rural Water's contract up?
I do not know that question.
Have you guys factored in case that they would not re-up with you? Have you factored in what the rates might increase if that would happen?
No,
Okay, that's what I was.
I haven't.
Okay.
I don't know, have we, Andre?
I guess I wasn't expecting that question. I can follow up with additional information. I believe, I think it's a 40-year contract.
We have
So-
about 20 years left.
Yeah,
You have, okay. So,
yeah, it was 1995.
and then there is, I believe there is a minimum take on that as well.
Right.
So there's protections on both sides, I believe. That's about all I can say to
Right.
that.
Well,
I think there's some protections in there based on so many years, and obviously these bonds go out 22 years and so on and so forth. So.
Okay, so it sounds like to me 20 years is what's left on the contract. Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, any questions from the council? Okay,
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
okay, second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay, so let's get to our special meeting, which is now it's 7:17. Today is Monday, April 29th, 2019. The time is 7:17, and the special meeting of the Greensburg City Council is called to order. At this time, please silence electronic devices. To comply with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the city requests that participants in this meeting complete a voluntary anonymous survey that is available on the table in the back room. That's on the left behind John. There. Roll call, please.
Brian McKenzie.
Here.
Kevin Fleetwood.
Here.
Darren Covington.
Here.
Jamie Kane.
Here.
And Darrell Gordon is absent.
Okay. Old business. Do you guys need to hear any more from Andre about the water rates and stuff? Okay. Thank you, Andre. At this time, I'd like to have a motion to pass on the second reading, the final reading of ordinance 2019-11, water rates.
So moved.
Second? Second. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Nays. So passes. Okay, new business, we have none. Take a motion to close the meeting.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay.